Good morning, Steve Free in Chicago with the morning grain comments. So grains are just a little bit higher overnight. Yesterday we saw a pretty good sell-off, especially in the beans and the corn, on some profit taking before this week's numbers. So today we get CONAB's estimate of their Brazil crop numbers. Tomorrow we get the USDA January report that's full of a lot of numbers. And then we'll see after that money flow depending upon global weather conditions. First of all, there is talk that USDA may not say that, CONAB may not say that, but as much as 10 to 12 million tons of beans and maybe, let's say 8 to 10 million tons of corn has been lost in South America. This week it's going to be record heat across Argentina with no rain. The forecast, though, is still pretty consistent that starting late the weekend or early next week, the pattern might change and we might see some rains and at least more normal temperatures across Argentina, Paraguay, and southern Brazil. Northern Brazil, still getting rain. Next week they might see a little bit of a slowdown, which would allow for some more harvest up there for the beans that are ready to be cut. As far as the U.S. is concerned, it's pretty quiet, and we just have some rains in the Pacific Northwest. It should remain mostly dry across the U.S., with temperatures fluctuating from below normal to near normal. We do note that next week there might be a condition for another nor'easter across that will start in parts of the interior of North Carolina, moving up in towards say eastern Pennsylvania, and then New York, and then the New England states. So we'll see how much of that is snow. We also see today U.S. Fed Chairman confirmation hearing. Some people will be trying to politicize this with their particular agendas. But the Fed is talking about raising rates in 2022 and slowing their bond purchases. It'll be interesting to see if one side of the aisle say this is too late to taper inflation, while the other side of the aisle might say that it may or may not be needed if inflation is just temporary. We also note the USDA report. It's a lot of numbers. I think the first number that I'll look at is what do they say about 2021 corn and soybean crop. And then we look at these one stocks and see if those equal. In other words, if the crop is smaller, does the stocks come down from the average trade guess? Just like if the crop is bigger, does the stocks increase from the average trade guess? Right now, the trade is looking for more corn and more soybean stocks than last year, and wheat less. And wheat's a very strange report because on this report they could actually find implied feed and residual bigger than the entire year of feeding. And then we'll look at some of the S&D numbers and what they do with the carryouts. The market's not expecting much change in the carryouts from the previous numbers. Then we look at some of the world numbers and see what they do, especially with South American crops and the wheat trade and wheat carryout. And finally, we'll look at the first estimates of U.S. winter wheat planted acres, which should be up about 1 million acres from last year. As always, these are my thoughts and not those of ADM Investor Services. Have a safe trading day.